Bonjour! First of all, welcome to the M-2000C and to this first training session, which we will hold at the Batumi airport. Today we will practice the starter procedures. The first thing you'll want to do is to go through the pre-flight checklist and verify that all the cockpit instruments and switches are correctly set for startup. You will find a full list in the Aircraft Procedures chapter in the manual, and I recommend that you go through that list now. Press the spacebar when you are ready to proceed. Good. Let's move to the procedures required before the engine start. First, turn the master battery switch to on. You will notice that the transformer and two alternator switches are already in the on position, which is as it should be. Next, call the crew chief and ask him to turn on the ground power. This is necessary for the next step. Press spacebar when you are ready to move on.
Chief, turn on the ground power. Copy.
Next, we will cover the
Ground
alignment
power
of
is
your
now
INS. There are two ways to do that. The standard one, lasting around 8 minutes, and the so-called memory alignment, which is shorter, but requires the aircraft to remain stationary since the last use of the INS. In most cases, apart from QRA, or Quick Reaction Alert, you will be doing a standard alignment. First, check that the PSC operational mode knob is set to N. Then move the PSM mode, this is the left knob, to VEI position, and the data selection knob on your PCN to LG. You will now see the latitude and longitude of your aircraft given by the INS. The important thing to remember here is that the INS is not a GPS. It does not receive any signal that lets it define the position of your aircraft. What it needs is the initial point used for all the navigation calculations made during the flight. In most cases, the information which you will see after initiating your INS will not be accurate, and it is crucial that you update it manually before starting the alignment process. You will need to change the latitude and longitude coordinates and feed your INS with the correct data. You already should have the selection knob in LG position. Choose the left window by clicking on the 1 or 7 key on the numpad. The INS and EFF buttons will light up, and the window will show a series of dashes indicating the number of digits you need to enter. Just to clarify things, INS comes from insert, which has the same meaning in English and in French, and EFF comes from efface, which means erase or cancel. Press the spacebar when you are ready to proceed. Now you can introduce your current position. First press 2 to select N for north, then enter latitude data, 41, 36, 44, followed by INS button. Press spacebar when you are ready to proceed. Now repeat the same for longitude, which is displayed in the right window. Press 3 or 9 on the numpad. You will notice that the right window has 7 digits, as opposed to 6 available in the left one. Then press 6 for east and enter longitude data 041 36 52 and finish with INS button again. Press spacebar when you are ready to proceed. One more thing you need to set is your current altitude above the sea level. To do so, move the data selection knob to the Alt position. Now you can select the left window for feet or the right one for meters. In most cases you will be using the left one, so go ahead and select it. Press 1 to select positive values and then enter the following data 00037 and press INS. Then press spacebar when you are ready to proceed. You are now ready to align your INS. Turn the PSM mode knob from VEI to ALN. The yellow ALN light will start blinking and the VAL button will light up. Go ahead and press it. This will initiate the alignment. You can check the progress by moving the PSM operational mode knob to STS position. In the right window, you will see the total progress going from 100 to 0. In the left one, you will see a digit defining how accurate the current alignment is. No digit at all, meaning no alignment at all. And then from 4 for very low precision to 1 being the best. You will see the timer counting down to the next alignment level. Remember that the whole process will take around 8 minutes. You will know that it is complete when the green Prêt light stops blinking and becomes steady. Press the spacebar when you are ready to proceed.
Good. Okay, before we go further, let's check the lights by pressing the test switch located on the right side of the electrical panel.
We can now move on to the next steps. First, power up your HUD. Next, turn on your radar altimeter by enabling the radar altimeter power switch and placing the HUD altimeter selector switch in H position. Turn on your navigation, formation and anti-collision lights. The panel is located to your left, below the landing gear controls. Click once on the radar power switch to put it in warm-up mode. Also, power up your VTB with a switch located on its right-hand side. Next, set the VOR INS knob to N position and enable your TACAN by turning its mode selector to TR. Depending on necessity, you might want to turn on ECM now, though its functions and modes will be covered in another training. Next, set up your IFF using the flagged instructions. The functioning of the IFF will be covered to greater extent in the campaign and in a different training session. Before you start the engine, don't forget about closing the canopy. To do so, first move the lever on your right side backwards in order to lower the canopy. Good. Now remove the canopy rest. Before you start the engine, you need to obtain clearance from the tower, and this is a good moment to very briefly cover the functioning of the radios. M-2000C has two radios. The top one is the UHF, or auxiliary radio. You can operate on 20 preset frequencies. The bottom one is a VUHF, or main radio. It usually operates on preset channels, but you can manually dial in the required frequency. Let's do this now.
The first thing you need to do is to power up both radios by switching the UHF operation mode selector to M and the VUHF RX mode selector to POL or POL plus G. After that, you can move on to the next steps.
First, use the selector knobs to dial in the frequency of the control tower in Batumi, which is 131.000 MHz. Once you've done it, switch the VUHF TX mode selector from P, or preset, to M for manual. Then use your radio and ask the tower for startup clearance. If you plan on using different channels on your main radio later in the mission, make sure to switch back to P mode once you are airborne. A final note on the radios, and this topic is more extensively covered in the campaign, is that they are often named by the color of the volume control knobs. So the VUHF, or main radio, is called green, while the UHF, or auxiliary 1, is called red. Go ahead and contact the tower now. Press spacebar when you have the clearance.
Batumi, Chevy, 1-1. Request startup. Chevy, 1-1. Batumi, cleared for startup.
Okay, now it is time to engage the backup ADI. In order to do so, first you have to supply it with energy by setting the CGMS switch to the middle position. Next, engage the backup ADI by pressing the knob located below it and to the right. Finally, if needed, rotate the knob to put the two white lines and a dot in the middle of the ADI. Press spacebar when you are ready to proceed. Please check the status of your INS. If the green pre light is still blinking, wait until the alignment is complete and the light becomes still before continuing. When it becomes stable, turn the INS PCN mode selector knob to nav position. Press spacebar when the alignment is complete.
Now we are ready to begin the engine startup sequence. First thing you will want to do is to set your parking brake. Good. This will keep the jet in place during the engine startup sequence. Make sure that the fuel shutoff valve switch is set to on, and open the engine start switch cover, which will enable the starter fuel pump. Turn on left and right boost fuel pumps and set the ignition vent selector to either G or D position. Press spacebar when you are ready to proceed. Check that the BP red warning light turns off on the warning control panel and press the ignition switch for 1 second. You will notice a red engine startup light next to your RPM indicator and the needle moving steadily up and stopping at 11%. Once it gets there, advance the throttle towards the ground idle position. Monitor RPM, engine temperature and warning lights, most of which should turn off as the engine spools up. Let me know when the engine RPM are stable.
Very good. Please contact the ground crew now and ask them to turn off the ground power. You will notice that both amber out caution lights will turn off as the aircraft's own alternators come online. Let me know when you are ready to move on.
Ground power is now off.
Before we move on, close the starter button cover on the engine control panel and switch off the starter pump. Press spacebar when you have done so. turn on your pitot anti-ice switch. The yellow animal warning light should turn off on the warning panel. Next step will be to turn the emergency hydraulic pump switch located on the right panel. Also, check your ADI and hydraulic pressure gauges for any abnormalities. Alright, on to next steps. Make sure that your nose wheel steering is off. You can check it by confirming that the blue DRAV light is not lit up on the landing gear panel. And check the full movement of stick and rudder. Press the spacebar when ready to continue. Next, you will have to run the autopilot test. Open the autopilot test switch cover and set the switch to M. Wait for the green light next to it to turn on, then disable the switch and close the cover. Now it is time to test the fly-by-wire system. Proceed exactly as with the autopilot. Open the cover and start the test. After you finish it, the red decal light on the alarm lights panel will turn off. At this stage, on the warning panel, you should have only two lights still on. The red PCAB, indicating that your canopy is open, and the yellow park, telling you that the parking brake is on. Check your slats by moving the switch to 30 and then back to auto. Okay, on to the final stage. Check if your anti-skid is working by opening the black striped cover and disabling it. When you do this, a yellow SPAD warning light should show up on the landing gear panel. Then turn it back on and close the cover. Now engage your nose wheel steering and turn on the taxi lights by pushing the switch once. A second click would enable the landing light. Good. Now all that you have to do is to seal your canopy by pushing the lever forward. Finally, disengage the parking brake and contact tower for taxi clearance.
Atumi, Chevy 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Chevy 1-1. Atumi, clear to taxi to runway 31.
Before taxiing, check your warning panel to see if no lights are lit and enable the audio warning switch located on the right console. This switch enables the aircraft's audio alerts excluding landing gear, AOA and missile tone.
Well done. You are now ready to taxi. This concludes this training mission.